Hey, what's good, y'all? And it is William Kwame. That means it is Will versus that human Will. What's up, Versers? And I'm coming at you with my guest. So let me invite her real quick. Ooh, I see her right there. Let's see. Gonna invite Elizabeth in really quick. Boop. Accept. Super hype for today's interview. Yes! What's up?
Hey,
How are you doing today? Happy Sunday.
I'm doing amazing. How are you?
Just fine, peachy keen, freshen myself up, feeling glowlicious.
I'm like, look at you with the fresh face and everything.
Same, we out here shining. But
I hear you.
hello, welcome to our show today. I'm like, it's actually nice. It's the first time I actually got my guest right on. She's timely. Um, but this is Elizabeth from Inspire Health LCC. Inspire Healthy, my bad, LLC. And our show topic today is what's that money do? So we're going to cover some money basics, some money 101, so that way you can get yourself financially right, or at least have a better mindset about how you're maneuvering your money. So,
Awesome.
um,
Awesome.
is there anything you want to say like upfront just about like Inspire Healthy LLC or?
So I guess I'll start off just introducing myself. So my name is Elizabeth Kessebeh, and I actually prior to starting Inspire Healthy, which I just started within the last 2 years. I've been working in the federal government for 17 years.
Okay.
And it wasn't until 2008 when the government crash happened.
Yeah.
I lost a significant amount of money, and I
Oh,
was like, okay, I need to seriously figure out what's going on with money. You know what I mean? So I
wow.
started
I feel you
looking
on that
into,
100%.
yes, absolutely. So I started looking into stocks and everything like that. And then after 2013, when the furlough happened and we
Right.
had to work for free, I was like, okay, I realized I didn't have the job security that I thought I did. So I
Right.
started looking at other streams of income. And so I went into financial services, and that was very conveniently placed at the time, like 3 years ago. And then
Mhm.
Inspire Healthy was born. So yeah.
I'm hyped. Okay, so for my first question, what do you believe is the mindset we should adapt when it comes to money in general? Because like when we grow up, our backgrounds we're affected usually as a child. I've seen you speak about it a lot on your page. Don't forget to
Yeah,
go follow her because she gives a lot of vital information just on how to think about money, ways that you can approach to make more money or get a hustle or get your mind in gear to actually start going after what you're trying to get financially for yourself. So, um, what do you believe is a mindset that like just as a starter? Because I'm like, even for you, it's like you realize that okay, so I don't have that stability that I thought was there. That what I thought was there is not. So, made you just like, okay, I can do this and this? What took you to your next step?
okay, so first of all, we need to get out of our minds that money's the root of all evil. Okay,
Okay.
because it's not. It's the love of money that's the root of all evil, not money. Because money is a tool, right?
Right.
So a tool can be utilized in any way, like a
Right.
hammer, right? A hammer
Right.
in a carpenter's hands, you could build a lot of things. A
Yes.
hammer in a burglar's hands, you know, you can
Can be deadly.
destroy a lot of things, right? So
Yes.
money is a tool just like that. So we have to start looking at money as a tool. And
Okay.
once we get that mindset, right?
Right.
After that, we need to realize that, you know, we have to start learning these things early, right?
Okay.
A lot of people don't realize that by 3 years old,
Hmm.
okay? By 3 years old, children, toddlers start learning basic concepts about money,
Right.
right? By 3 years old. And by 7 years old, you like that child has literally learned most of the concepts about money that they're going to carry on into life,
Okay.
right? And if you think about it, a lot of misconceptions and things we have about money, you don't quite understand where they've come from. You've seen a lot of things from ages 3 to 7 when you're learning about these concepts, and
Right.
you've actually picked up on things around your parents, around other family that
Right.
you might have even not known that you've picked up on. So if they're misconceptions,
Right.
right, about money, if no one's actually teaching you the right thing, right, you're not
Right.
going to know. So, certain things like saving, right?
Okay.
Because like for example, I'm a partner in with DC Public Schools.
Okay.
So I just recently did a money workshop with second graders, 8 and 9 year olds, right?
Right.
And talking to them like, what's money? Asking them basic things. What's money? What do you think of when you think of saving?
Right.
Right? Saving. And some of the kids were like paying bills, you know, and paying bills and putting money in the bank and things like that. But if you think about it, adults think the exact same way.
No, it's
You
true.
know, exact same way. A lot of adults don't think about investing. Like now financial literacy, within the last, I think, couple years is exploded to where so many people now are like, oh my God, like this investing thing just came out of nowhere.
It's right.
And
Left
it's something
field.
we can do to, like really, make some money and get, a lot more interest off of our money.
Right.
Um, so yeah.
So that process of even the concept of my money can make me money, or like finding automated ways of investing. Because like I have a friend I talk to at work where he might tell me like, oh, he spent money good. I'm like, don't tell yourself you're spending it, because even the vernacular, how we're speaking about money, seems to subtract from the fact that no, that's an investment. If you're not buying this, you're investing in this much product so that way you can sell it. It's an investment at that point. So don't think of it as if you're just buying it and you got it. No, you're about to flip this and turn it into something else.
Absolutely. You have to make sure that your money is always working for you. Because
Yes.
when you're working for your money, you can't work forever.
Truth.
God forbid something is going to happen. Okay? The minute you're born, there's a saying or quote, the minute you're born is the minute you start to die. You know
Yes.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And, like we have to look at it like we can't live forever, right? So you have to make your money work for you. Okay, whether it's a side hustle or business,
Right.
whether it's investing, you
Right.
know, um, whether it's saving through, some high yield interest, which we'll talk about in a few as well,
Okay.
or like a 529, investing into your kids' future. You have to make your money work for you.
Okay. So I'm like, this perfectly leads into like what my next question was, which is how do we begin to set ourselves up for success when it comes to finances? Because I'm like, you've already stated by age 3, we started picking up our money habits. By 7, we already got a default of what we feel our concept of money is, which we definitely carry into adulthood. So when it comes to getting out of the mindset of having money is the root of all evil, which I used to hear that a lot as well, and just money is a tool, just like a hammer, as you stated. What can we begin as a beginner ourselves? Like, okay, okay, I just got out of money fruit oil. I can make it a tool. Where do I start? How do I set myself up for success?
Well, you set yourself up for success by having a plan, right?
Right.
So, it's great that you want to spend money, but then or save money or invest money, but then other people are like, now what do I do? Right? So you
Right.
have to have some sort of blueprint. And I'm actually gonna share some things with you guys. So let me flip my screen.
Sweet.
So can you see that?
Yeah, it looks perfect. Thank you for flipping it.
Cool. So this is what we call our financial house, right?
Right.
So when you're building a house, do you start from the roof or the foundation?
Obviously, the foundation.
1000%. So when you're building a house, you start from the foundation. So we always tell people to protect your income, right? So that's the biggest way to allow your money to work for you. And the main reason is because tomorrow is not promised.
Right.
You know, if something were to happen to you and you're young, right? Tomorrow, to where your savings or investment vehicle has not, had a chance to go that far, right? What do?
Right.
You protect your income. And we say protect your income with, and it says right there, term insurance, because term life insurance is not meant to be a savings tool,
Right.
and it's also not meant to be something you're chained to for life, right? The whole
Right.
purpose of like life insurance is to basically set you up for, you know, money for you to have until you have enough money saved. Because let's say, Will, if you had $500,000 saved, do you think you'd need life insurance for burial and other things?
No, not really.
Exactly, right? So
Right.
if you wanted to have additional income for a term, that's perfectly fine on top of your $500,000 worth of savings. But, why spend and waste several $100s a month toward, some other type of insurance when you can use that money and utilize that money to, and I'm going to go to the next portion of the house, budgeting, emergency funds, and wills. And we find now more than ever, it's more important because we're experiencing things like government shutdowns. We're
Right.
experiencing things like COVID shutdowns where
Right.
literally everything is shutting down, right? So not only are we talking about tomorrow not being promised, we're now talking about your job security not being promised. A lot of jobs are going to automated things to where now a lot of people were in food lines, were in unemployment lines
Right.
because they didn't have an emergency fund to cushion the blow. So having an emergency fund of like 6 to 9 months of your income would help a lot of people. And also having a will. And I tell people everyone needs a will, right? Because if even some people are like, well, I don't have anything. Well, you have something. I'm sure you have something, whether it's a car, the car you drive, whether
Right.
it's your house, you have something. And I'm sure
Yeah.
you didn't spend all that hard-earned money to give away all your prized possessions to the government.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So that way you can control who gets your assets, whatever they may be,
Right.
right? And then we talk about debt elimination. That's the next thing. Because and it's in that order because realistically, if COVID happens, right? And you have no income coming in. Are you
Right.
thinking about tapping into an emergency fund? Or are you thinking about paying down debt?
Emergency fund all day.
All day. And that's why it's in that order. So the next thing is your debt elimination. You have to, you know, work your way up that financial house, work your way toward debt elimination. Okay.
Right.
And then you could start saving toward retirement. You could do college savings for
Right.
yourself. You could do college savings for your children.
Right.
And the top portion of that house is other goals and dreams.
Okay. So wait, something that piqued my interest because you said I saw you went in the order specifically where it was budgeting, which that always makes sense to me. I've always been like a big budget person, an emergency fund thing because it always comes in handy. If you're budgeting, you know how much you can spend, whether that is on like what you're gonna be doing for yourself, your needs versus your wants. And then having your emergency fund in case something extra does happen, you can fall back on that. But when you said the will, so would that be something like a trust, or is the
Okay,
will something different?
so the will, when you're talking about a will, it
Yeah.
covers um, like you have your basic will, and then you have your will with your advanced like health directives.
Okay.
Basically, when God forbid, like with everything that's going on with COVID, right? Something happens to you, and you in your health directives will tell people what your wishes are, whether you don't want to be what's called a DNR. You don't want to be resuscitated, or you don't want to be on life support for
Right.
an extended period of time. And you would have an executor of your will, and you'd also have a health advocate that would like carry out your wishes
Right.
with that will. Now the trust is a step further than that, because let's say you have
Okay.
younger kids, right? And you would like for your kids to have money, but realistically, if you have younger kids and something happens to you tomorrow and they are still minors,
Right.
they will not receive that money. It would go to either like your executor or custodian over that will, right?
Right. It's
Or
like
it would go to the state, where if you don't have one, it would go, you'd have to, you'd have to literally go to court to get that settled up to determine how those funds would be distributed.
right.
So if you set up a trust to where the funds don't get distributed to that child to a certain period of time,
Right.
which is sometimes it's over 18, sometimes it's 21. You could
Right.
set the parameters for that. And then you could also, you know, you know, create a custodian for that, to carry out those wishes. But that's a better way of carrying
Something.
out wishes for, like, let's say if you have minor kids. It also helps with like businesses and things like that as well. Where let's say you have what's called like key man insurance, where you have two business partners and you have actual insurance policy with within your business, and
Right.
then you write in that trust what you want done with your actual business.
Okay, so I'm like, so just so I can give something that'd be a little more grounded, people may not have seen it. Have you seen like Lemony Snicket's like a series of unfortunate events,
Oh wow, it's been a while, but yeah.
or like read the books where it's about like the kids, pretty much their parents had money, but
Yeah,
obviously they left a will, like you said, and they had a trust where it's like they wouldn't be able to get the money to a certain age, but they
yeah,
also made it to where the custodian, which I guess would be the person that was taking over raising them, they could use it to help raise them, but they couldn't use it for anything besides that. So you can always set those parameters, like you were saying.
absolutely. Yes.
Okay, I just want to
Yep.
give like a really good example just for
Look,
just like it sounds
look,
like we're just talking jargon
look,
because I'm like
don't judge me,
I
but
agree with what you're saying based on things that I've looked at, but I don't
yeah.
know if other people understand what we're talking about. So I just want to make sure I can connect something where they're like, if you just go watch that, you can see kind of what she's talking about.
Look,
Based
I was
upon
gonna
what
say,
you're
don't
saying.
judge me, but if you look at Power,
Oh, Powers.
Right?
Powers did it.
Power. So,
That's a great
spoiler
one.
for anybody that didn't watch it, too late. Oh well. Okay. So in Power, when Ghost died,
Yes, the end of the
he left
series.
the will, right? But he
Right.
set it up as a trust to where Tariq couldn't get the funds till a certain age. Till he turned
Right.
like 18, no, I think 21. But it was contingent upon him graduating college.
Right.
Remember? So yeah.
So another example, just for everybody else, that way you can get it a little bit easier for you. Um, I just want to recap real quick what we've gone over. So basically, when I had asked earlier how we can set ourselves up for success, she showed us the house, which you start from the base. So you need to start with your plan. So it started with protecting your income, and then you had like a slash term life insurance, um, emergency fund. Well, no, my bad. Then above this, because we're building the house up. On top of that, you have like your budgeting, so you know where your money's going. As my partner likes to say, she says, "I like to give my money purpose." I'm like, "Okay, I got you." So budgeting literally it lets you know where everything's going, so you're not gonna feel lost. Like I could have sworn I still had $100. You're looking at your bank account in the negative. Budget.
Right.
The next to that, we have emergency funds, just that's money you can fall back on, which definitely you can, with everything that's been going on, I know a lot of us did not have that going on, or even if you did, you might not have seen something to this magnitude. So having money that you set aside, that you save to the side from your budget, just in case things happen. After that, it was your will. So if you pass, which definitely made a lot of sense to me because right now we're in COVID. You never know, Lord forbid, if something happens, you catch it, or somebody passes that's over you, or you pass. You want to be able to have that money go to who you need it to go to, instead of the government just kind of taking it all in for themselves.
Yep.
Then on top of that, we had the debt elimination. I wanted to ask a little bit about that. So that would be like what, like any type of credits or deficits that you feel like you have, like what, loans, mortgage.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Loans, mortgage, credit card,
Car, car note.
car. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And then it went after that. It went to retirement, college savings, and then other goals and dreams that you might be wanting to put your money into.
Yep.
Ah,
Yep. Absolutely.
okay.
And let's see. So yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying we rocking steady.
Okay. So, and I think you asked something earlier with regard to the budget. So, I mean,
Yeah,
flip
like
to my,
how should
I
you
love
go about making
visuals.
like a basic budget?
Huh?
Oh, this is your. Oh, you have percentages. That's what's up.
Yes, percentages. So this will give you a good like guide. Okay. I don't know if that's coming across sideways or not. Of
Oh, there
where
it
your
is.
money should be going, right? So if you look at those percentages, right?
Right.
You see like house debt, right? 30%. And let's talk about that because we talked about, spending money and things like that. You should not be paying more than that 30% of your
Okay.
income, your income, what you have coming in. If
Right.
you are, then you're living above your means.
Okay.
Okay? And the same with the living expenses, 26%.
Okay. So that would be like what? Groceries, clothes shopping, um,
Yeah.
just kind of like the daily things that you actually need to go about.
Yep. Monthly
Okay.
things. Yep. And then if you look over here, 25%, obviously, you got to pay Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam
25%.
always gets his money.
True.
Like 4% towards like insurance. So you
Would that
talked about life
include like car insurance too, or is that insurance such as like life insurance that
life
you were saying?
insurance, medical
Okay.
insurance. Yeah, but absolutely life insurance, medical insurances. And then 15% savings and investment.
Okay.
So if you can't save 15,
Hmm.
um, and it's like, so we talk a lot to people about like the savings, like, and asking them, and I guess I should flip it back, like how close to you these numbers or these percentages are you,
Right.
right? And where are you trying to improve as far as getting close to these numbers? And what we do is a financial needs analysis
Right.
where I'll sit down with my clients and we'll review your your monthly budget, right? And
Right.
we'll figure out how much money you have coming in, and then we look at all your statements, your investment accounts, your utility bills, car notes, and then based off of that, we're and I'll flip to an example of like that sample budget sheet, right?
Okay.
And we write those things down. We have like a PDF, like fillable version of this as
Okay.
well. Yeah. And then with that, we'll look at, okay, which areas are you paying higher than you
Right.
should, right? And we'll also look at where we can save you money. Because
Right.
realistically, you're the whole purpose of budgeting is to save. You're trying to save money, right?
Right.
We'll review certain things like, okay, how much are you paying for your auto insurance? You know, let's look at, our broker, you know, run a quote with the 30 companies we're affiliated with, see if we could get that down.
Right.
If you have home insurance, let's see if is your auto and home bundled. I figure most people know about bundling auto and home and saving money, but some people don't.
No, because I'm like, I was just talking because I just needed to get some new car insurance myself. And even he was explaining to me how, like, bundling my renter's insurance with my auto insurance would bring both of those down a little bit more. But I had already set up some other obligations, so then I just found some other. I guess it's just really like when you're looking into it, like you're saying, it's finding the options that work best for you. So
Yeah,
I feel like it's just getting into that research or speaking to the people who, like you, who can actually point you in the right direction. Okay, we can do these types of things in order to bring your costs down.
yeah. And we could talk more offline about that
Right.
because a lot of times, even if, let's say, you find a better quote and it's like in the middle of your policy,
Right.
they'll prorate you whatever you've paid,
That's true.
um, like going into that month if you actually break um, you switch companies within the middle of the policy.
Right.
So we look at things like that. Life insurance. People are paying ridiculous amounts. You would not believe for life insurance.
Really?
Um, yes, really. Um, and the most important thing I find is people don't start young. You know,
Yes.
people assume, oh, I have all the time in the world, you know, and then when you have folks that unfortunately pass early, they're having to do GoFundMe's.
Right.
And it's sad to say that everyone I ask, the answer is never no. Have you seen a GoFundMe on your timeline?
Lately, no. Surprisingly, the last place I saw one was honestly, I think like on Tumblr, on social media.
Right. But
But I guess it's still my
have
timeline,
you
but I'm
ever
like,
seen a GoFundMe on your timeline?
right. Because I'm like, I
Man,
think a lot of times, like on Facebook, I haven't really been seeing them as much. I've been noticing a lot of people are being more proactive, especially with the COVID
Yeah.
pandemic going on at the moment. I think my grandmother, she got me life insurance when I was a baby, so it's like $17.
Nice. Nice. But you also need to review that policy, and have you reviewed that policy?
You know I haven't.
To see, what kind of policy it is, what the face amount is,
Right.
if there are any additional stipulations to that policy. Because if
Right.
she's had that for you since you were a baby, does, if you were to transfer that over to your name, is the amount set? Is it going to balloon after a certain period of time to a certain dollar amount? Those are things that a lot of people, don't necessarily look at or review.
Right.
When they look at life insurance. And I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, my grandma got me insurance when I was a baby."
Well, it's not like I feel like that's the last generation. Like, I'm going to do something good for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's nice. So, but I'm like, I still personally, I wanted to do more research just on doing it for myself because I want to be able to do the same for my children. But I want it to be something where it's like, okay, what if my child lived past the age of 89? Like the policies where it seems like, okay, what happens after it hits that age limit? Does it just all the money you put into it disappear?
So we do what's called buy term and invest the difference.
Okay.
So that's why you're doing like a term policy. That's why we do term policies. When people do like any type of whole, they're having to pay for the face amount.
Okay.
One, and they're also having to pay for a savings component too. Now, I'll ask you, God forbid something happened to William K Humphrey, right?
Right.
And you pass. Like, are you getting any money?
From, if I pass, am I getting any money?
Mm?
No.
Exactly. No, you're not, right? But let's say if you live a really long time.
Yeah.
Right? And you live, I don't know, until you're like 100. And
Yes.
there's like a savings component. Are you getting your death? Are you collecting off your death benefit?
That's what I'm wondering. Because I'm not dead, so I'm like, would the policy flip over?
Exactly. No, it's a trick question. You're not dead, so you're not collecting off the death benefit. So, like with a lot of those policies, it's like you're paying into two things, right?
Okay.
But literally, when you pass, you're either getting just one or the other.
Right.
Right? So, what we do is buy term and invest the difference, because when you pass, God forbid, you can your family gets the face amount from the insurance policy, and you could also will or create a beneficiary for your investment.
Okay.
So you can change the investment. You can also pass it on to your kids. Even if you haven't passed, you could pass that investment account on to your kids if you want to.
Yeah, it seemed like that's why what I was saying previously, I'm like, I thought that would be a really good idea to have life insurance in general when it came to just looking at the like ET's crew, and then when they talk on their podcast, I had posted something about that recently.
Oh, yeah.
They mentioned that a lot because I'm like just building the legacy, and like I was really feeling that. I'm not always sure where to look, but I gathered a lot of information. This is why I was really happy to have you on the show, because I know there's a lot of other people that need that point in the right direction to where to look just as beginners. So, what that I wanted to lead into my next question. Is a bank account necessary? Because I know a lot of people, just like in our community, just a lot of like, like, yeah, I ain't doing no bank, or they don't want to use cards, or just different types of things where it's like they just kind of keep the money for themselves, which I feel
Right.
like that'll be a little more hard because even during this pandemic, they already, for me, I call it tested. They tested out a money shortage because I'm like, how do you get a money shortage when we print our own money? That makes no sense to me. So I just called that a test because we're going more towards the digital age. So when it comes to having like your budget or building your finance, do you think like a bank is essential for that?
I would say at minimum something like a high yield savings.
A high yield savings at minimum. You don't need a checking.
High yield savings account because a lot of those you can utilize as dual like as a checking account as well.
Okay.
You definitely like getting back to that making your money work for you, right?
Right.
You know, allowing your money to work for you. So definitely something high yield, not they and I feel like high yield and checking account is an oxymoron because we're like, oh, we're 10 times the national average. We're 0.1 instead of 0.05. Like,
Right. Like
yeah.
I was looking into like money market accounts. I remember like the first ones I was looking at like before the pandemic, they were actually going up for a little bit. Like they were going from like that 2% to like 3%. And I'm like, oh, this is nice. It was climbing. And then when the pandemic hit, like I think the current money market where I try to put like just a little bit of money in there, it's at like 0.1 something percent now. I'm like, ooh, that doesn't feel like it's really.
Yeah, so the whole point of bank accounts really and credit, which since we're going that route, the whole point of bank accounts really and credit is if unless you have like cash to pay everything, you
Yeah.
know, like cash to pay for cars, like outright.
Right.
Like you're gonna go to the car dealership and pay cash, or you're going to a secondhand dealer or someone direct and paying direct cash for a vehicle. They're running credit checks and they're looking at bank accounts. They're looking at your credit. So absolutely cash is king. Like if you have the money on hand,
Right.
you you don't need you don't need you don't need credit per se, you know?
Okay.
Because let's look at people like and I hate to say it, but Donald Trump,
Right.
right? He has filed for bankruptcy
Okay,
seven
7 or 8
times.
times.
Do you know what his credit score probably is?
I thought it was like at least 7 or 8, maybe.
7 or 800
Yeah.
with 7 bankruptcies?
Well, like, I would think so.
No.
'Cause, like, I'm like, if you know loopholes, maybe.
No. If me and you were to get 7 bankruptcies, we would be at the bottom. Like we'd be like at like you can't have a credit of 100, but if you could with 7 bankruptcies, it would be there. Like it would be at the very bottom. Okay, like you're talking like not 7 or 800, half of that. Half of that. You know what I mean? So like, but he's able to get cash because he gets business lines of credit, right?
Right.
And he always borrows against his businesses, right?
Okay.
So that's where cash is king. He could walk into places and pay cash for stuff. And when you're paying cash for stuff, no one cares what your credit is. If you're like,
Right.
hey, let me get that Mercedes. Oh, your credit's like 400. Oh well, I just had this like $50,000 in my briefcase. Hey, what model car do you want to look at? Hold on, let me. You want to go which E class, C class, S class? Which?
I'm like, I know that makes sense, but I'm like, I don't think everybody is on that level of having just cash, which is why I was asking, but just about like banking in general. I'm like, I guess you could budget your way to being a cash king or queen, but like
You
just
could,
starting
you
it like
could,
as a
but
one-on-one.
you could absolutely budget your way there. But a lot of people try to use those money market accounts as the
Yeah.
savings tool, and that's like trying to use a money market account as a retirement tool.
Oh, you really can't. Definitely not anymore. Like, if
Exactly.
anything, I
Like
would
you
use that
never
just to
could.
save, to
You
try
never
to
could.
make money so you can use that money to invest in something that can make you better money.
Right. Exactly. And I'm not knocking anybody who works for Walmart, but then you see older folks having to go drive for Uber or be Walmart greeters because they look up and they had no money saved, because they played it absolutely safe the whole time, or they're like, oh, I got all this money saved, right? And they
Right.
maybe had close to six figures saved, but where's $100,000 going to get you if you've retired at 60 or 65 and you're going to live another 20 years?
Is it 65? Because I thought I just looked at it not that long ago. It's like closer to 67.
Yeah, so for you
You
retirement
can. I
age,
thought you could retire at 60. You can retire early, but until
it
you reach
depends.
that age, I guess of like actual retirement, they kind of like
Yeah.
pull pull it back for
Yeah,
you.
it depends
As
on
well.
where, like if you're in private sector or if you're in the government.
Okay.
Like I know for law enforcement, you can age out at like 57 for
Ooh.
most federal agencies. For like civilian employees, it's like you can stay till like 60, 62. Um, Generally, for most, it's 65. They've bumped some up to 67.
Right.
Um, and they bumped it up to 67 because that's when you could start collecting your full,
Yes.
social security benefits. So they didn't really want overlap there.
Right.
Um, so it just kind of depends on where you work too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, Pulling back to the questions. Oh, just a small recap for because I've noticed like a few people coming in and out. So
Hmm.
basically, we went over the budgeting house. Later on, you can watch the video on that. But basically, you're starting from the ground up, starting from protecting your income, budgeting, emergency fund, will, debt elimination, retirement, college savings, and other dreams. Then we went over just budgeting in general, just percentage wise, how it should look. Would be like housing, debt 30%, living percentages, which would be like clothing, food, such like that, 26%, 25% taxes, because Uncle Sam needs his green, and 4% towards insurance like life and medical, 15% on savings investments. And you don't want to pass when it comes to like what housing slash debt 30%, because then you're living above your means, like how much money that you're actually pulling in. Um, so then we covered a bank. Recommended is high yield savings account. You don't really need to get um, a credit account. And then we briefly went over term policies, which was like those are based on a term policy for life insurance. My bad, just so I can be specific, which is face amounts, and then second is the savings component. So she was speaking that like in your will, you can make it to where beneficiaries can be on it, or
So
did I write this
no,
down?
no savings component for life insurance is
Okay.
the key.
So what's
Because
the
a lot of
term
people are paying
policy?
tons, hundreds of dollars thinking they're saving all this money, and they're really not, because with like whole life policies, what they have is called surrender charges.
Okay.
So within those first couple years, you're paying several $100s they're charging you surrender charges. And a lot of that money is going to the commission for that agent, right?
Okay.
So it's not actually like you think, oh, I'm saving all this money right now as soon as you start paying when you have a whole life, and that's not the case. It's literally money you're paying to the company and the agent that's going into that company and the agent's pocket.
Okay.
You know, that's why the term, you know, that's why we say buy term and invest the difference. You're saving immediately because you
That's what you
started
were
your
saying.
investment immediately. You
It was
know, versus
high term
you
and
paying
invest.
for like you paying a agent 4 times the commission because you know you're paying all these surrender charges, and it's normally on page I think like 7 or 8 of a life insurance policy, but it's always in the policy. You just gotta flip a couple pages through, and it breaks it down in the fine print. So yeah,
Okay. Then
yep.
I wrote it down wrong because I've been taking notes. Every time I give an interview, I want to make sure I can sum it up for the people a little
I know.
easier.
I'm so proud of you.
So then, oh, okay. So that brings me to my next question, which you went into a little bit, which was we were discussing credit, which you already knew where I was going with it. So I was going to ask, should credit be a main focus then when it comes to just thinking about money? Because I'm like you said before, if you got the cash to do it, you can get it. But if you don't have like a record showing how you use your finances, that's how I kind of describe credit as it's showing how you go about paying and use your money, your debt, how you juggle your debt.
So credit is borrowing,
Yeah.
right? So credit is borrowing. So we definitely don't want to borrow if we don't have to. There are a lot of, like credit bureaus use quote unquote credits, cards and things like that to like establish credit, but you don't have to use credit cards to establish your credit. You know what I mean? Like there are
Yeah.
other accounts that you automatically set up if you're paying your, like, God forbid, if you have student loans, like, and you're paying that right on time, that's one way you're establishing your credit. If you
Yeah.
have a mortgage and you're paying that on time, that's one way you're establishing your credit. Like if you have, a car note, that's one way, and you're paying that on time regularly. That's another way you're establishing your credit. There are a lot of other ways to establish credit without actually having to borrow. And even then, like, let's
But
break down the new car thing. Like,
that's what I was about to
like,
ask about. Like, because I'm like, I
exactly.
remember when I went to
Like,
go get
the
my car, I
goal, the
didn't
goal
have a
is
lot
to
of like
not have
credit.
a car
So
note. The goal is to not have a car note. I mean, like, you can get a good, because like, you have assets and liabilities, right?
right.
And you have things that are like depreciate,
Yes. Definitely
you
a car.
know, and definitely a car. The minute you drive that off the lot, you've now lowered the value of that car by several $1,000s.
Yes.
And these prices for cars now are so astronomical. Like, you can buy a car with a couple thousand miles on it and save yourself like $10,000 to $15,000,
Right.
literally, on and have it still be a new car from the same year, and you're still gonna be saving a good 10 to 15,000 maybe on the price because it has like 10,000 miles on it or something, and it's still new, but it's depreciated with value.
So are
You
you
know,
recommending just like don't think about getting anything new? Because I think a lot of us get caught up in what is it, like keeping up with the Joneses is how that goes, where it's like you want it to look nice, you want it to be nice, instead of just getting something that runs efficiently. It could have cost you like what 2,500, but it's a car that works, everything on it works. It doesn't look that great, but it's going to get you to A and B while you build up your money. Because you just said cash is king. So if you're gonna buy something that just going to get you to work or get you to making your income so you can get something you like more, would that be better?
Because I'll say like this: if you're not able to save as much as you're putting away for your car note,
Yeah.
then you don't need to have a car note that high.
Then how do you get a car in the beginning, like even before? Because like if I was just somebody coming out of college, not even coming out of college, maybe you're about to go to college, like you haven't had anything that would show that you paid on something to show that you're reliable. How are you supposed to get what you need to move on? Because I'm like, they don't take transactions of you riding the bus.
Right. So there are a couple ways to establish credit for younger, inexperienced creditors.
Okay.
One way, and I'll say one way, possibly, and I'll put the air quotes out there, is for a parent to add their child onto their credit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that way you can have established credit in your name, but you just have to make sure that your child is responsible.
Right.
Because like you're like, hey, I'm going to establish your credit. Here's a credit card, giving to a child in
Right.
college. And if you've gone to college, you've seen, hey kid, you want a credit card? We'll give you a credit card for like a lollipop, or like just
Pretty much.
stuff that will give you credit. If you sign up for this credit card, we'll give you a $25 gift card, to Applebee's or something crazy. Like, oh wait, free to share, whatever. Like, and then next thing you know, your kid is like racking up money, a ridiculous amount of charges on this credit card. You definitely need to set the parameters and establish how, the spending and everything like that ahead of time. That's why we talked about the talking to your kids about money early. You know what
Right.
I mean? Have it so they're already, pretty responsible. Like we have a program where we teach kids, and we have a program where we have a parents guide for the parents to teach kids,
Okay.
and talking to the parents about allowance, and creating money smart kids, and things like that. So I mean, you can go that route, but don't just give your child a blank check. Think of a credit card as a blank check. Would you give your child instructions prior to giving them this blank check, or would you just give them a blank check and be like, here you go, this is a blank check for mommy and daddy's account? Like,
I think at that point that depends on how balling the parents are.
Right. I'm gonna write a check for $1 million. Like,
But
so yeah.
there was a couple of things that I had also tried out. It was recommended to me. I had used Self this past year, and it had
You
brought
said
my
what?
Self lender,
Wait, say it again.
self lender,
Oh, okay, yeah.
and my credit score had come up 92 points. But basically, that's just what it's like a CD bond, but you're pretty much just paying yourself because once it matures, they're gonna give you the money back. But it shows
But
that you've been consistently paying on something, so it builds your credit.
yeah, they also have like secure cards where you put the money up.
Yes.
Yeah, a secured credit card where you create the minimum for the card. I think they have
Right.
some as low as $300. So,
Yes.
but you would have $300 to put up, and then you use the card, and then you pay down the card to show that you're responsible, and you're able to pay your bills on time and establish credit, things like that. So there are a couple different ways to go about it.
Okay. Like, oh, we covered it because like you already hit budget. You hit budget in the beginning, and I was gonna be like, is a budget important? We've already covered that a budget is actually the most important. Besides getting out of the mindset that money is the root of all evil and figuring out how to use that tool to plan for it appropriately.
Yep, it just keep referring back to that house It's just the next little tier on that house, you know?
Okay. Well, last but not least, I wanted to. If anybody has any questions that you would like to ask, please ask now. I know there's like probably like a 10-second delay, so we can be like Jeopardy. Okay, so I see no more questions. Uh, how can how can people get in contact with you? What more can you share about Inspire Healthy LLC? Definitely, everybody follow her. I'm about to post an ad while you speak on it.
Okay, so I established Inspire Healthy LLC because, you know, with going into like the financial services and seeing there was such a nexus between finances and overall wellness. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because when you're not financially well, you know, mentally you're stressed, you know, and that causes physical stress. It causes stress around amongst social circles. You know, when you have people in different financial brackets, it also causes emotional stress amongst like husbands and wives. It's one of the top 3 reasons that people divorce.
Oh,
It's finances. So I called and established the company Inspire Healthy LLC because I wanted to raise awareness and to just financial well-being and tying all of those things together, you know, and
right.
spiritual as well,
It
because I
is.
do believe in charity and giving and tithing as well, you know, because like there's so much peace that comes to, you know, being financially secure, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And a lot of the mental anguish, especially when you notice around COVID, I know a lot of people are suffering from depression, suicidal
Yes.
thoughts, everything like that, because it's the not knowing.
Yeah.
It's the not knowing that causes a lot of people anxiety, that causes a lot of people worry, the not knowing what to do next, the not knowing what's coming, the not knowing if I'm going to lose my car, if I'm going to lose my house. So, you know, I always put a lot of the tips out there, and I also do consulting. Like through my financial business, we do, you know, the financial needs analyses.
Right.
It gives you a snapshot of where you are. You know what I mean? To know where you're going, you have to understand either where you came from or where you currently are. You know what I
Right.
mean? To create the blueprint. So we do the financial needs analyses for people, and we're like, hey, this is where you should be. This is where you are.
Right.
You know what I mean? Take that info, do with it what you will. But, you know, we do the financial needs analyses for people. And then based off that house, we're like, hey, if you're trying to save, you know, $5 million within a certain
Right.
period of time, this is exactly what you need to do.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And we kind of break that down for people as well. So, and we also do business consulting. So I do individual consulting. I actually started the training under ET actually to be an
Yes.
extreme execution coach, and do flight assessments as well. So, you know, incorporating all of that together
Are you a pilot?
in, huh?
Are you a flight attendant?
Oh, you said I'm a flight
Are you a
attendant?
pilot or are you a flight attendant?
No,
So you
I'm
gotta take
pilot.
charge.
Pilot, believe it or not. I'm high pilot.
No, that's what I said. My first thing was like, she's a pilot. I can tell.
Yeah, high pilot. Yeah, for sure. I see you've done it. I see you've
Yeah,
done the assessment.
that's I think where I first saw you was the what was the completely online conference? I was sitting in on a lot of that stuff, but I had seen your
Okay,
information and I was like,
yeah.
ooh, that's how I started following you. I follow you, and what was it? It was like Work NYC, where they run a gym, and they've been doing
Yeah,
very successful still with their gym over there in New York City.
yeah, that's what's up. Look, oh, small world. So yeah, I mean, so I just feel like just overall wellness is so important, and we go to doctors for when we're physically ill. You
Yeah,
know, you go to church when you're spiritually, suffering. Um, but when we're financially suffering, people are like, "Oh, I don't know what to do. Let me
truth.
let me talk to my friend." But if my friend is in the same situation as me, if I'm broke and my friend is broke, why would I be going to my broke friend for advice? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I feel you.
But that's what we do. Like, oh, what do you think I should do? Like, or I just won the lottery. What do you think I should do? Get a car, get a, like, and there, and we have to get the information out there. And I'm just glad that there's this huge kind of increase in knowledge and like thirst for knowledge to build generational wealth. So you guys can follow me at Inspire Healthy LLC. He put that in there. Also, my website, inspirehealthyllc.com. I have information on my website as well. And it also lists some services. We have workshops listed on there as well. We also, you can email me at spirehealthyllc@gmail.com. We have financial workshops. We send out to people. We have webinars, like educational webinars, if you are starting from square one learning about money. We have workshops that you can, or webinars you can, like self-paced, kind of go over, where you can learn basics about money and interest and saving and budgeting. So yeah, or you can call me like 415. I could put my number in there, my business number in there as well,
Okay.
in the chat.
I'm gonna end
um,
up putting it on the description if you don't mind that, for them to
okay.
be able to contact you for more information. Because that's also what I did for Jeanette when it came to getting more supplements for just the body, helping the gut when we didn't know what the gut. So if you would like,
Yeah.
oh, I see. Okay, I'm gonna put that in there because I noticed after we record these, whatever popped up in the chat while people were talking does not appear when you watch the video.
Gotcha. All right, cool. So yeah, that's my website info. And then yeah, I just tell people like, hey, if you want to at least figure out where you're at, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's worth just kind of going through and just seeing where you're at. Like, because a lot of people, I talk to a lot of people, and they're like, I'm good. What does good mean? You
Uh,
know?
I got enough money to survive right now. Usually. I'm
Right.
a,
And
I'm,
you're
I'm
surviving, and then
I'm either
you're
comfortable or
thriving.
like just below comfortable.
Right. And then it's like, you're good right now, but don't you want to be better, or don't you want to be great?
That's possible. What? That's ludicrous.
And it is possible, but we have to start changing narratives and start promoting, wealth as something
Yeah.
that's not negative.
Yeah.
So,
Ooh. One last question. This is gonna be my zinger. What is wealth to
it's
you? Because like how we define wealth for ourselves can also determine just how like we're looking at things as well. So we can kind of place that and start walking in another direction. Because like what's comfortable to me might not be comfortable for you, or what you're trying to do for your future and your future offspring might not be what I'm trying to do. There's levels to it. So what's wealth to you? How do you describe that?
you said what? Say that.
So
What's the
what is
question?
wealth to you?
Wait, what's
How
what?
do you describe it? What is wealth to you?
Oh, what is wealth to me? Um, Wealth is freedom.
Hey,
Um, I mean, that sums it up. I mean, freedom of time and money to do what you want to do.
I feel that.
Some people would still be working where they're working if they had that freedom.
Right.
And, that's cool, But I'm like, hey, if I was wealthy, would I be working still, or, would I be on an island somewhere, or would I be, helping some people in Africa, or, would I be teaching some kids still, with
Right.
my time, and, creating more programs like that. So I feel like with wealth, and I like to not say it's not money, you know what I mean?
Yes. That's
It's
what I like to
freedom,
say too.
freedom, it's that freedom element, because when you're, when you're wealthy spiritually, you
Yeah.
have a freedom, when you're wealthy mentally, you have freedom and peace of mind.
Yes.
So if I could just say if it's one word, it's freedom. So
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate you. I want to thank Elizabeth from Healthy Live Healthy LLC, Inspiring Healthy. My bad. And I don't know. I had a really good time speaking to you. It's been a blessing. And I gotta say my thing I always like to say after every interview, which is as we all come together to destroy what I like to consider like a real disease, like a real issue, a real problem that we all suffer from, which is ignorance. Because I feel like once you know, you have the ability to choose to do better. Like
right.
knowledge is power, but only if you use it. So as we come together to defeat this ignorance, I just want to thank her. I want to thank God. I want to thank our guides, our spirit guides, and everything that brought us together for this moment to be able to exchange this energy, this information, so that everybody can help themselves. And definitely go and check out her page. Like, I love when her stuff pops up in my feed because it's always she's a wealth of knowledge. So lately I've been looking at like your short lives you've been posting, which is why like when you were talking about the children thing, like I had just watched that 2 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I really needed that. It was inspiring to me. So thank you.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate you so very much. So it definitely feels appreciated. I feel appreciated to be thought of. So thank you very much. And I'm glad that you actually learned some things as well that you're able to apply in your life. And you got my info. Just hit me.
Okay. Thank you. I enjoy the new connection.
I know, right?
But peace out, everybody. Have an amazing Sunday. And I'm going to put this up in beatbox like I usually do. Deuces.
All right. Peace.
Inspire. Healthy. LLC. Hey, inspire. Healthy. LLC. What the money do? She going to tell you. What that money do? She going to tell you. Hey. I get it. So.